Richard Lyle.
Thank you, Dean. If you walk into a hospital, as I had to do during the new year, you look up the signs and you see all the different services that are being provided. Last year, our budget for health reached 12 billion. This year, our budget, and I compliment you on it, that your budget is going to reach 13 billion. The territorial boards and the special boards are going to get nearly over 500 million more, plus the other factors. But can I go slightly off message for a second? This is one third of your budget is spent in health. But what I want to, since I've got the opportunity and I can't pass it up, we're shortly going to be doing an inquiry into the Penrose, a discussion of the Penrose inquiry. Now, this is, as we all know, the blood products disaster, which has resulted in people possibly going to make substantial claims on budgets. Now, is it on the individual health budget of a board, or is it against the health system? You know, Mr. Gray or Mr. Matheson may want to enlighten me. Are we insured for that? My view is that it possibly could reach in between, and I may be picking figures out the air that people may dispute, something like 50 million or more for Scotland alone. So what are we doing to, you know, I don't see it in this budget at all, and I'm sure it won't be, but suddenly we'll pick this money out the air. Where's it going to come from? Can I be enlightened in regards to that?
Well, I'll let John say a word about litigation and how the NHS handles that more generally in a second, but on the positive side, I mean, we've just received, just before Christmas, received the report that from the group that was set up under Ian Welsh's chairmanship to review and make recommendations around the financial provisions for people who have been affected through contaminated blood and blood products. Now, that series of recommendations are quite far-reaching. They would substantially enhance both the payments made to people in terms of the one-off payments made to people at stage 1 of illness, but also substantially enhance the ongoing payments for people who have got the highest health needs, and there are other supports for widows, and there are supports in terms of one-off hardship payments and so on. So as a package, it is a very substantial package. Resources have been set aside within the budget to meet the needs of those affected, and at the moment I'm considering those recommendations, and I'll be making an announcement in due course about those. But, you know, just to put on the record, as I have done previously, you know, I'm absolutely determined to make sure that some of the hardships that, you know, I've been told about very directly from those affected and their families, that we provide a better level of support to people in Scotland. Obviously, what happens elsewhere, I'm not responsible for, but I'm determined to make those improvements here in Scotland. In terms of litigation and court cases, I mean, there already have been some around this area, but John, do you want to say a word?
I mean, just a couple of things. So we have a general clinical negligence insurance scheme, and that primarily is used for obstetric and gynae cases, tend to be the prime examples that come through that. And that money is allocated to boards, and they pay a premium to recognise that. And what I've done in my almost 8 years in this role now is I've moved from the traditional position where there was a lump sum payment made, and they moved to a position whereby there's now a reduced lump sum made for housing adaptations, transport adaptations, and then there's an annual payment made for the lifetime of the individual who's been affected. But the key factor there, as well as the dealing with the cost of the legal claim, is to learn lessons from a clinical practice to make sure that the situation that caused these tragic events where the NHS has been negligent, and we've accepted that we've been negligent, that we reduce the chances of these happening again. In terms of the infected blood patients, we have been making some payments to date in parallel with England, and as Cabinet Secretary has said, we have recognised on a central basis, and not in terms of the board allocations, there will be a central sum set aside to recognise the cost of this going forward.
How much is that central sum?
I don't know if the fund top of head, and the problem is we haven't concluded,
the
negotiations.
And
so I think it would be inappropriate to.
Well, I'm looking at the recommendations, so obviously if I accept the recommendations, the resources will be made available to meet those recommendations. But, you know, John Matheson's made an important point. There's already been around £30 million paid to Skipton and, the other fund. The two funds, because they're done on a UK basis, and we pay our share for Scottish recipients into that fund, and they are there's already been around £30 million paid through that route.
So lastly, if you allow me, Convener, the point I was trying to make, and thank you very much, and I know you have been working hard on this issue, as I have in the last couple of years. So I'll be assured that, or the people can be assured that any funding that is required will be made available.
I certainly want to recognise the work that you've done, Richard, on this area, and as have the campaigners. I mean, when I was first on this committee, it was one of the earliest issues we looked at. It's been a long-standing issue. Now, you know, what the recommendations are, you know, the recommendations of that the group have come together on a basis of compromise. I'm not going to sit here and say everybody is happy with them, but they are, you know, they've been born out of pragmatic discussions that have taken place within, led by people affected, and those are the recommendations that have emerged. And as I say, they're with me now, and you know, if those recommendations are accepted, we will absolutely make sure the resources are there to meet them.
Thank you, Convener.
Thank you.